Hey everybody, this is Corey with FantasySportFans.com. I got my buddy Seth here. How you doing, Seth?
I'm doing good.
Seth, I've got a quick question for you. What do you think is the most valuable position in fantasy football?
Oh my gosh.
It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is a tough one, only because where are you drafting at? And
yeah, that all comes into play.
It all does come into play.
Are you in the top of the draft, the bottom of the draft?
We'll put it this way. I guess, if you're going to be in the bottom of the draft, because obviously if you got the number 1 to number 5 pick, obviously you know what you're going to go after. You're going to either go after the top QB or the top running back. And
right.
that is just strictly what you're going to do. But what happens between 6 and 10 is completely different, because you got to take into equation who's already off the board. You're going to take off, Brady. You're going to take off Arian Foster. You're going to take off those players, Aaron Rodgers, Adrian Peterson. So what do you do at the end of the bottom of the round?
Yeah, are you going to go with somebody like Calvin Johnson, who's going to be the surefire number 1 receiver? Are you going to go with kind of a mediocre running back, maybe like a LaShawn McCoy? I don't know. Who else would go in that round? Who'd go in the top of the round?
Honestly, when I look at that, I look at someone like, say, RG3. Someone who is a quarterback who's going to be able to score touchdowns through the air, but at the same time can run the ball. He can work his way around the pocket and outside of it as well.
Yeah, he had just rushing yards alone. He had more than a lot of running backs put together combined.
Of course. It's RG3.
But me, if I'm thinking
sounds like
about
a robot.
Yeah, he sounds like a robot. Yeah, me, if I'm thinking about it, man, I'm going running back. It's probably the most important position, just because there's not a whole lot of them out there. There's not a lot of running backs that carry the load all by themselves.
Agreed.
Even if you look at somebody like Ray Rice, there's a rookie that came in, Bernard Pierce. He took away a quarter of the carries by himself. I think he had 500 yards or something that was taken away from Ray Rice, and Ray Rice was drafted top 5 in most leagues last year.
And that's the thing, when you are, because I do agree, I believe running backs is probably the most important position, because there are so few that are so good.
And there's so many quarterbacks that you can have right now that are going to be good that you can get in the later rounds.
Of course. And that's the thing, though, is when you come back to running backs, aside from quarterbacks, I'm looking at someone, say, like Marshawn Lynch. Marshawn Lynch was an animal last year. He was, as they say, beast mode. The guy was loaded on Skittles the whole season. And that is the pure adrenaline that kept him going.
And he was a late round draft pick, too.
He was a late round draft pick. And when I'm sitting here looking at running backs, okay, who was legit last year? Who put up numbers? Consistent numbers, double-digit figures. I'm looking at someone like Marshawn Lynch every single time. If he's there in the later part of the first round, absolutely.
If you can take a legit number 1 running back over a quarterback, I think that you can find a decent quarterback in the later rounds that are going to get you your fantasy points.
Well, just look at the quarterbacks that you have right now. You've got Rodgers. You have Brady, you have RG3, you have Andrew Luck, you have Russell Wilson, Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford. There you go.
Josh Freeman,
Tony
Eli
Romo.
Manning. Yeah, there's numerous. And most leagues are only 10 to 12 team leagues, so you can name 15, 20 quarterbacks right now that'll put up fantasy points for you.
And it's not always the case. This isn't going to be the same scenario every single year. Each year is going to be different, but the one thing that isn't different is running backs. I still believe every year running backs is probably going to be the top priority in the first round because of how few there are.
I completely agree with you, and thank you, Seth.
Thank you, Corey.